All right, guys, I'm going to keep this nice and simple. Your biceps have two heads, the long head and the short head, or the outer and inner heads. Now, just like when training upper and lower chest, we can also place more emphasis on the long and short heads of the biceps with specific exercises. But there's one thing I want to debunk real quick. You can't just train the peak of the biceps, so not just this middle part right here. It's not like you're going to command only this area to grow, no matter how much you yell at it. So if you want big biceps, or you want a big biceps peak, you have to build the entire mountain. You can't just build the mountaintop. So let's quickly go over the anatomy of the biceps because I want you guys to learn some good stuff today. But before we get started, download my app Muscular Strength and get your gains on track with my custom meal planner and muscle building programs. Now, the outer head, of course, is responsible for the biceps peak. And although it's mainly genetics that dictate its size and shape, we can definitely try to target and place more emphasis on the long head with exercises that focus on contracting it as hard as possible. And we do this by first understanding the functions of the short and long head. So here's the biceps functions checklist, guys. Number 1, supination of the forearm. Number 2, elbow flexion. And number 3, shoulder flexion. So if an exercise contains all three functions, you know you're training the biceps to the max. But if we want to place more emphasis on the long head, we have to take our training one step further and focus on exercises that allow us to keep a close grip throughout the entire movement, which means elbows inside of wrists. And the perfect exercise for this is the close grip cable spider curl. All right, guys, so to set up for the close grip cable spider curl, you want to make sure that the pulley is all the way at the bottom, and you want to make sure that the bench is relatively close to the pulley so we can take advantage of full range of motion. And now remember, we need to hit all three functions of the biceps. Number 1, supination. Number 2, elbow flexion. And then number 3, we want to take advantage of that shoulder flexion. And if we can do all of that while maintaining a close grip, we're going to work on that peak. So grab the bar with your hands close together. But you're not just going to grab with your hands close together, guys. We're going to take this one step further. So come over here really quick. Even when we're holding a straight barbell, it is still possible that as we curl, that our grip will kind of give out and our hands will start to twist like this. So we're losing supination. So in order to force as much supination as possible when using a close grip, I want you guys to take your thumbs and put them on the outside of the bar like that. By putting your thumbs on the outside, as your wrist starts to turn in, your thumb's going to prevent that. So it might feel a little tight at first, but trust me, you'll get used to it, and you will feel a lot more activation in that long head of that bicep as you're doing your curls. Once in position, let your arms hang at the bottom of the movement. Remember, you always want to fully extend at the bottom, and then from here, you're going to curl up to get your elbow flexion. But instead of curling to here, guys, we want to make sure we get shoulder flexion as well. So what you're going to do is curl up and bring the bar to your forehead just like this, flexing and squeezing your biceps before returning back to the starting position and repeating for reps. And now I know you guys are going to ask if you can do this with dumbbells or just a regular barbell without the cable machine. The answer is that you can, but chances are that as you start to fatigue, you're probably not going to be able to get as much elbow flexion at the top with as much weight. The cable system is great because it kind of forces your hands to be out in front of you like this. So as you're doing your curls, you're still in this position. But when you use dumbbells or a barbell, as you get tired, you might drop your hands lower and lower and lower because your shoulders are getting tired and you're not able to just hold that weight out here just all by itself. So you can do it with dumbbells, you can do it with a barbell, but if you want to get the most out of this movement, do it with the cable machine. Now that you're armed with this knowledge, guys, on your next biceps workout, start the workout with this movement so you can overload with as much weight as possible and train with 8 sets of about 8 to 10 repetitions. Remember that less is more when it comes to building muscle because the goal here is volume and progression with your movements. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, more good stuff coming soon. See you guys.